thing you need to understand is, our las rifles and flamers, they don't put us at the top of the food chain. They only keep us from being on the bottom. That Commissar, he should have known that.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back. Now, today's video, I've been busy once again making a diorama, but I'm also going to try and add a bit more context for you guys by telling you some lore behind the scene. So if you enjoy that, let me know. I've actually put some effort in and written a script. Well, part of a script, half of it got deleted. So we have what we have. So if you enjoyed that, leave a comment just to let me know that you've enjoyed it more. And you know, while you're there, might as well leave a like and a subscribe. So to start off this diorama, I've tried to leave my secret weapon of Wing It in my back pocket and return to an earlier state. Wow, this script would work if I could read. 3, 2, 1. And return to an earlier state of actually planning, which is obviously going well. As you can see here, I'm sketching out. Can you see here? No, you can't. I haven't drawn anything yet. Script, come on! All right, I'm going off script. Fuck it. Right, script's in the bin. I'm gonna wing it. That stayed in my pocket for long, didn't it? We are 1 minute and 35 seconds in. Cool, fantastic. I'm glad I put that effort in. That really worked. Right, now that the script is in the bin, we can get on with this. So the main reason why I'm actually using this this pad of paper is because it is the same size as the MDF base that I'm going to be using. Now, there's some particular model placement that I really want to get down before I commit this to either sculpt to mold or air dry clay. So this is why it's relatively important now that I do this prior planning, so I can prevent piss poor performance. Because what I'm trying to translate to you in this diorama is that whole thing about the KHAINES and how they only really get along with themselves. So when a commissar is brought in, which is usually appointed to KHAINE regiments via the Adeptus Prefectus, I do believe. So the commissars aren't actually from their home world, and that adds a lot of distrust. So it's quite common for their commissars to you know, fall down a ditch and land on some punji sticks, or fall on their bayonet once or twice, or 10, 20 times. So I quite like that idea, and I want to be able to portray that with a shallow grave, a commissar being bagged and tagged, and then there's also going to be a Lictor hiding in the bushes watching them. So go with the whole food chain thing. So I heard that food chain quote from KHAINES, and that's what has prompted and inspired this entire thing. So there you go. There's a bit of context as to why I'm building this. Now we are on the sort of the build part where we're going to build our models up, our army of Rambos, because that is just what the KHAINES are. They seem to be stuck in Vietnam chasing a predator. So this is like they're like Apocalypse Now meets Predator meets Rambo. I quite enjoyed making them up. Now the KHAINE models are, their sculpts are the original Games Workshop Imperial Guard foot soldiers. So when they were originally released, they were the only ones you could get. There was no Cadians, there was no Mortons, there was no Talon. It was just the KHAINES. They were the first ones released, which is why their sculpts look a little bit derpy now, but they've got a certain charm to them which I really enjoyed whilst putting them together. Yeah, you do find yourself putting it together going, Adrian! Rocky! Anyway, so the main conversions that I've had to do in these guys is sort of, take them back to the early 2000s, make them the emo kids, listening to a bit of My Chemical Romance as I cut their hands off at the wrist and just sort of move it to give them a more dynamic pose and to fit better into the narrative that I'm trying to portray and tell you in this diorama. Nothing too difficult, it was just a little bit of just slice, chop, glue, done pretty much. I had to do a little bit of shaving down on some of the arms, actually where they join into the torso, just so I could get a different angle as to how they glue down. Okay, so now what we're going to be building is Commissar Teasle, and for this we're going to need some kitchen towel. You want the cheap stuff because it's going to give us that nice Hessian bag texture for later on when we're painting it. PVA glue, and then your Commissar model, or well, I've used Commissar model. You probably didn't need to do that because you can't see as much of them as I initially thought you'd be able to see. Anyway, I digress. And then you're going to cover it in PVA glue and then just let it dry. The whole purpose of this is what I wanted was this Commissar Teasle has been an absolute crowbag. And because of this, his unit has decided they're going to take him out on patrol. Partway through the patrol, they're going to jump him. They're going to beat him senseless because these guys are roided up to no end. Put him in a shallow grave with just his Hessian bag to keep the mud off his face. Now, the planet of Catachan is horrendous. It is 1-star TripAdvisor, do not go, would not go again. Everything there is trying to kill you. It's like Australia ramped up on steroids to 1,000. You've got the heretic ant, which if one bite, it goes for the sole of your foot, which is why it's called a heretic ant. It's not because it's Khorne berserker in disguise. One bite can paralyze you, 3 bites can kill you. And that's just the ants. You've got plants that will try and control you, other ones that will eat you and like liquidize you and then discard your body somewhere else so as not to draw attention to itself. Another plant that will turn you into a plant, the same plant, called a spiker. I mean, what? What? Such a weird way to reproduce. And then you've got this lovely creature called a Catachan devil, which is a millipede or centipede crossed with a scorpion that is the size of a train. No. 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 Anyway, I feel like I've rambled on for long enough now. So let's ramp this up, get it into a little bit of overdrive, and see how the rest of this build has progressed. I'll see you in a moment, guys. I've had this stuff for a little while now. I bought it in a modelling shop and I just don't quite know what to do with it. It's too spongy, springy, doesn't quite work the way I want it to. So what I'm going to attempt to do here is run a little bit of steel wire through. I'm going to hot glue it in, I'm going to cover it over, and then I'm going to repaint these bushes in bush colours because bushes. I don't know. Yeah, so I'm going to cover it in black because when you separate it, you'll still get that initial colour in there, but just to give it some depth and something for the paint to cling on to, I'm just putting primer on, and then we'll go through, paint them up like bushes, and then when you break them or bend them into shapes later, that initial sort of autumny colour will show through, which I think gives it a really nice depth to how the bush looks. So you sort of get an effect for free. Now we're coming into the final stages of this diorama build, which is to paint the actual ground texture and then assembly. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to paint this in my standard brown colours, but I'm going to start adding green into that brown paint because I want it to have sort of a sickly, swampy feel to the terrain. I want it to feel not quite, I want it to sort of look not quite right, to make you sort of second guess what you're looking at. That's part of the narrative that I'm trying to drive when you look at this diorama. I do this with quite a lot of different things. I try to add things that sort of drive different parts of the narrative home by telling a story through these dioramas that I like to build, because they are, in effect, yeah, that's what they are. They're a capture of a day-to-day life of part of the Imperium that we don't get through the tabletop and that we don't get quite through books or games, and it's just pure, oh, this came from a quote, you know, my imagination has done the rest. And that's what I love about building these dioramas. I may not be the best at putting a written narrative to it, but I know a lot of you guys are good at putting written narratives, and believe me when I say it, when people write stories to fit in with my dioramas, I really do enjoy it. It brings an absolute stupid smile to my face, and I just love reading them, because creativity, creating more creativity, it's just, that's astounding. Absolutely love it. So anyway, got to finish this up. Let's get it put together. And guys, I really do hope to see you in the next one.